superstitious because in 1306 on Friday the 13th, that's the day Jacques de Molay was put to death, of course, wasn't it, here in Paris by Philip the Fair. So there's no superstition for this day, but no, it's great to be here in France, and especially in Paris, which is kind of like my spiritual homeland in many respects. You know, when I was 4 years of age, I started coming to France and to the Mediterranean like 3 times, 4 times a year. So from a very early age, I could compare French culture and Anglo-Saxon culture. And, you know, I didn't identify with Anglo-Saxon culture at all. So there's always been a big division for me. I've never liked United Kingdom. I like the tea, I like the sense of humour. And beyond this, I'm a complete traitor. I believe in the principles of liberty, fraternity and equality, and of revolution, of which United Kingdom has no history of revolution. So there is nothing in this country, these islands, that I identify with as a person, which upsets many people. It upsets many Killing Joke gatherers or fans. It even upsets some of the guys in the band, because I dislike going back to United Kingdom so much. In the mystery tradition, there have been 4 great ages of man. They speculate on how long each one of these ages has been. But if we look at the indigenous cultures around the world, from the Maori people of New Zealand to the Hopi, so many of these different peoples, they say that we're coming to the end of a huge calendar, the Mayan calendar, of course, and it's the end of the world that we've all come to know. But if you consider it, that if we keep extracting oil and precious metals out of the ground, within 15 years from now, we need a new planet to rape. So we must change our modus operandi away from a parasitic level of operation, because man has become like a parasite. The earth is living and intelligent, and we must restore a reverence towards the biosphere. Otherwise, we will head towards extreme life extinction, and we owe it to our children and to our descendants to find a new way. But it's interesting. My eldest daughter, who's French, she says to me, "The world is finished. I don't want children," right? Which is kind of sad, but I'm kind of happy. I'm not ready to be a grandfather yet, anyway. So, but then when I think back to the late 70s and 80s, in the middle of the Cold War, we didn't think we would live long because there was the chance of nuclear exchange during this time. So no, I don't think it's the end. I am so against it, you cannot be. There's the single reason why I moved to New Zealand is New Zealand is completely anti-nuclear. I'm talking about the solar storms.
Yeah.
And remember, if you want to have a look at on your internet, NASA is warning us about the solar storms. We did one concert, which I won't say where, but recently, where all the electricity of half the city went down. And they did even put it in the newspapers. And this was the solar storm that are coming. It's something that everybody has to research. You know, if you live in a democracy, Socrates said, it is the duty of every citizen to engage in the subject of debate. And the subject of debate now is, when you look at the United States of America and its constitution, they are building concentration camps for civilian inmates all over the United States of America. There's 800 of them being built at the moment. And it's a very disturbing trend. I was brought up in the shadow of the Second World War. My father saw the concentration camps during the liberation of Germany. And today I went to the Louvre, and I saw this painting by Watteau, and it shows a group of people leaving an island, and they're looking back upon the island of sensuality, where they've been lovemaking and feasting and whatever, this feeling comes to me a lot because I live on an island in the South Pacific, and when I leave, it's not like going from London or Paris to London. You're going right the way around the other side of the world, and I never know whether I'll see my children again because of the distance. And so the first 3 hours when I leave, I feel sick, I have panic attacks, and I'm overwhelmed with the feeling that I may never see my loved ones again, you know. And the last part of the verse where it says, if I don't return before your time is up, I promise to set your place on the table. With wine I'll fill your cup, and to ourselves we lie as we break down inside, because we never said enough how much we really loved. Yes, I do. I mean, we can fly to the world, we can fly to the moon, I should say. But still, when you look at somewhere like New York, we pump all the shit from our bodies out into the sea, and we wonder why the fish are all dying. You know, this is madness to me. We cannot keep our rivers clean. We're poisoning the land, and if you think that the world takes all of its food from 1/300th of the planet, all our food comes from 1/300th of the planet, this is insane. You know, the rape of the earth and extraction of oil and disregard to nature is an industrial crime against humanity, in my opinion. I venerate the Divine Mother, and I believe we need a feminine archetype to restore our reverence towards the biosphere, towards Mother Earth. So you can take this any way you like, and she is a loving mother when we work with her, and she is the goddess of destruction like Kali when we do not. But what about culture, and what about beauty? Which is why I hate the free market economy, why I think capitalism as we know it is finished. The orchestra has a huge cultural role in all of our lives, and it saddens me that when I see British children and they don't know the beauty of Elgar, or young French children, they listen to rap music and they don't know the beauty of Debussy, and the same with Beethoven in Germany and so forth, you know. Well, the first record I ever bought was Russian orchestral masterpieces. It had Borodin, Rimsky-Korsakov, Mussorgsky. I liked the Russian sound, and then after this, German music, like of course Beethoven. And Beethoven and Mozart, their mecca was Prague, and Prague is a killing joke town. It's mecca for all my classical music these days. So I'm still very much involved with classical music. I record with London Symphony Orchestra this year, and every year I do several concerts. And recordings are hard because of the money. To raise the money, there's no more money left, you know. But I've been very lucky with the orchestra, and my childhood was very strange because in the house I was brought up in, I used to see as a child Brian Jones from Rolling Stones, and he smashed up my parents' house 3 times, and he got my auntie pregnant, and he went to school with my uncle and in Cheltenham, and he was very close to my grandmother, and he used to pick me up like this and put me on a fruit machine, and then of course many years later I worked with Mick Jagger and recorded a version of Angie with London Symphony Orchestra with Mick Jagger, and so these strange series of immaculately timed coincidences have been through my life. Well, Artscenics is one of many people involved in this. Well, you could say Freemasonry. A cult just means hidden. People have very strange ideas of what it means. It just means hidden, and you have establishment occultism, which is Freemasonry and higher levels of esoteric Freemasonry. And so it's always been there, this mystery tradition in our society. And yeah, this is the schooling that we've had in Kilimanjaro from the very, very beginning. Is this, and you know, my mum and dad were atheists and didn't believe in God or anything. And I became I had religious visions very, very early when I was 5 or 6. By the time I was 8, I had a big occult collection of books. So I think that this, my knowledge of this is innate. It's from another life. It's part of me. It's something that I embrace. It's something that I have to accept in me, you know. It's the same conclusion as science, which is that all life on our planet came from the stars. When you think Francis Crick, who discovered the DNA molecule, in his directed panspermia, he said that we have been seeded by an extraterrestrial race. And this is the great scientist who discovered DNA. And he did directed panspermia, and you can study it yourself. And of course, this is in the highest level of the mystery tradition of occultism. They say the same thing. And yes, when you look at the Great Pyramids, how is it possible? Each one of the stones underneath the Great Pyramids, it weighs 5 jumbo jets. There's no technology that can make this. You know, when you look at the ancient Egyptians, the elongated heads of many of the ancient Egyptians, we are alien hybrids. I'm very happy to be back in France. And as I told everybody in New Zealand last week, I've been doing many interviews, if I didn't live in New Zealand, I would live in France for sure. It's very close to my heart, this country. Mm-hmm. And there's, because of historical events between our two countries. You know, I'm thinking of the Rainbow Warrior in 1985 and this period. I would like to see myself as some kind of cultural ambassador, creating a bridge between our two countries of New Zealand and France. And I still have much I want to do in France. I want to go to Rennes le Chateau. I have never been there. And these mysteries of the Paris Meridian. There's still so much before me that I want to do. There's still so much unfinished. And I'd like to do a tour of France to all the capital cities, looking for new bands and making new young bands, high energy, very loud, aggressive bands, as many as possible, putting them together. I'd like to do this to reserve some time in the future.